Hi everybody, welcome. It's Chris Petri. We're having a fantastic time doing everything water. We're going to start out with some pond and lake effects here. So lake, pond type painting, wisps of grass, trees, snowy banks, interesting water reflections. That's going to be our first composition. We're going to have a fun time doing that one. You're going to see how just easy and free this one is. Secondly, we're going to do a gorgeous ocean scene, the crashing waves coming in at the beach. Oh, we all love this type of scene, right? The ocean, the beach, the waves crashing, and you can just see yourself there on the beach, maybe in a lawn chair, reading a book or doing a painting. And we have all the details covered on this one, from the white paper where you have some of the waves crashing in white caps, and we show you some artist tape so you can get your horizon line perfect with your sky matched up just nice. And lastly, ooh, this one's good. We're doing a beautiful mountain scene with a river. So we're doing some river water here with icy banks and snowy banks along the edges of the river. And then we had a little beautiful snow-capped mountain in the distance here with a pine tree and some pine trees trailing off into the distance. This is just so much fun. All of these are great compositions. You're going to do them well. You're going to see slowly how we just go step by step, mixing the colors, getting the drawing in first off with a few hash marks here and there, and then getting some paints mixed up. And these are pretty straightforward compositions, nothing too fancy. It's just a matter of taking our time, and we'll get it done and done it really well, okay? And then we're going to put these in a folder and save them in our studio. So please save your compositions when you're done. If one of them doesn't come out good, no problem. Do a second one if you have to, or maybe do them all over a second time if you want, whatever. Or just work on them 2 and 3 times, however you feel you need to do. But get one that, for each one of these, get one that looks really, really good that you're happy with, that you're going to put in a folder and save it. And then this way you can refer back to it when you're doing a painting in the future, where you're going to be using some of these same techniques, methods, and the same types of looks that we're going to have here. Okay? All right, let's get started. All right, we just saw the finished painting, and we're going to just keep motoring on along here. So what I did was, we're starting out here now with our first painting. And again, we're talking water, lakes, oceans, streams, rivers, you name it. We're going to do it all in this video. And then you'll have a nice bit of paintings you can refer back to. So once you create these paintings, I want you to take them and put them in a folder and keep them and save them. And this way, if you are doing a painting a month from now, or a couple months from now, or even next year, or a couple years from now, you can go back into that folder, and you might label the folder like water features, something like that. And then you put all these paintings that we're going to do, these compositions we're going to do, you can put those in a folder, and then you can just refer back to them, and you can take them out and say, oh yeah. And what happens is, when you do take out these paintings that you're going to do, these compositions out of that folder, when you're doing another painting maybe where you're going to need some inspiration or some ideas maybe, it'll click right back to you. You'll remember back when you did the video and how you did it, and you might have to do a little refresher, and you might even look up the video on my channel and watch it again or something. But what I'm saying is, it's really valuable if you can save these. Once you do these compositions with us here all together, save them, put them in a folder, and they'll be valuable in the future when you're going to be doing other paintings. You can always refer back to them, and it'll be good, kind of like refresher information for you. So I'm just going to protect the bottom. I'm going to use a sheet. These are actually the Arches gummed blocks here I have. So these are, I'm trying to think what these are. These are like 10, these are like 7 by 10 Arches gum blocks. This one is satin paper, and then I have another one that's the rough paper, the orange cover, and this is the pink cover, which is the satin paper. So this is what I'm going to use, and I'm just dividing the paper in half, and then now I'll just trim a piece of printer paper, and I'll cover the bottom half so that we don't splash on that, and this way we can paint on this one after we do our first painting here. So let me do that. Maybe I'll take some Scotch tape here. We'll use some Scotch tape, and we'll just tape this along here, maybe two or three spots. Okay, good. And then we already taped this with some artist tape around this outside edge. And this is like maybe half-inch tape around the edge, the border. And now we'll just make a quick little note here so that we have this. So we're going to call this one Lake Pond. So that'll be our first composition, a lake/pond. Okay, all right, we'll set that aside. First thing we'll do is grab a pencil. I use a mechanical pencil a lot of times. It's a lot easier. I don't have to worry about sharpening it. You just click on the top of the pencil and it's ready to go. And this is a number 0.09 lead, and it's like a medium lead. And what we'll do is we'll just pretend we're going to do like a partial bit of a painting, not really the full painting, let's say. And then we could just ask ourselves, well, we're doing a pond. Let's make it about 2/3 up from the bottom, because we're going to accentuate and focus in on the water area. So we'll make the water a little bit high in this, like here. So about 2/3 up from the bottom, 1/3, 2/3, and there's 3/3. So you can always hash your papers, your watercolor paper. I always find it's very important if you can kind of give yourself that discipline of just kind of 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3 approximately. And what we'll do is up here we'll make like a small embankment. So we'll make this and we'll curve it a little bit like that. And then on the top here we're going to have some weeds and brush and bushes and things. So this top portion here, I'm just going to make some kind of shapes like weeds and some maybe twigs sticking up. Maybe we'll have a tree over here. So we'll have a tree up here on the embankment up above here. It might be right along the embankment. Or we could just maybe erase a little bit there. And we could make it up here maybe like that. So there's a little bit of space in between. But for what we're doing, we don't have to worry about that. Let's rethink that again one more time. Let's just pretend we're just going to make a mark on the paper, basically. It's like, of course, a trunk of a tree there, small tree. And then we have our embankment here, and then we'll maybe have some snow up here and some more weeds like that. And the main focus here is going to be the pond, the lake or the pond here, the water. So at this point we have the embankment. We know there's going to be a shadow. And then maybe over here we'll have a little bit of we'll have some more earth and embankments over here too as well, like that. Okay. And this is going to be fun. We're just going to, so we basically have the general idea of the edge of the lake or the pond here. This is the embankment that kind of slopes up a little bit. Then we're going to have a shadow for the embankment like that. So that's going to be a darker wash there. And then we have these over here, which are going to be darker washes here, which are these other embankments over here that are little small outcroppings of land that are kind of right alongside this lake or pond. There we go. All right, so now our basic drawing is completed. It can be anything like this. You can make it more simplified if you want, or you can go with a little more, you can spend a little more time on it, maybe make it a little larger. I'm going with smaller compositions so that we can get through a number of these on this tutorial, and this way, we'll accomplish a lot in like a small amount of time, and also too, we'll make them smaller compositions, which are kind of nice. This is something you might do if you're out doing plein air painting, maybe if you're out in the backyard or where you live nearby in a park, or if you go on vacation, whatever. Sometimes it's a little easier to do smaller type compositions when we're outdoors. It's a little easier to manage, and it's not a big production so much. We can just have a small sketchbook with us and some paint, small palette, a couple brushes, and we're good to go. So, all right, what I'll do is I'm going to look for a good brush here. I want to have a brush that can hold a decent amount of water. All right, so I'm going to use a travel brush. This one looks pretty good. This is the Da Vinci Kolinsky Sable travel brush, and this is a number 8. It's got the plastic handle. These are really handy. You can bring these with you if you go out and paint on vacation or weekend trips, or if you're just going out about nearby the home, park, backyard, wherever you're going to visiting someone's home. You can bring these with you, and they just stow away real easy. Protects the hairs of the brush when you put it into the plastic tube. And then when you put it into the plastic tube and you tighten it down, it's got a hole in the top that dries out the hairs of the brush so it won't get moldy. So you can just wrap these up, put them together. You can just take your brush, put it in there, close it up, and you can put it in a purse, pocket, backpack, duffel bag, whatever it is. It's got a small hole in here for air, and it'll dry out naturally, and you'll have no harm to your brush at all, to the hairs of the brush. So I like this number 8. It seems to be a good size for this painting overall. And I'll get some fresh, clean water. I'll just put my water bucket over here. I use the Holbein collapsible water containers. And what I'll do is I have to go across the studio and grab a bottled water, so I'll just take a quick break now before we start the painting. I'm going to go grab a bottled water, get my water container full of fresh, clean water, and then we'll start the painting. So I'll be right back. All right, now we're going to start painting. We have everything all set. We have a sheet of paper to cover our paper underneath here, our second section of our watercolor block. Fresh, clean water. And then we'll just start to work in some colors. I like to, you hear me kind of cover this on my channel a lot. We try to mix our colors first, if you can. It's really a good plan too. You don't always have to, but sometimes it works out good if we mix our colors first, and then we go in and start to work our colors in to our painting. So I'll look and see here. We'll use some raw umber and sap green. French ultramarine blue. Olive green maybe. And maybe some burnt sienna. And basically we'll try to keep everything. We'll use some burnt umber here for our tree with a little bit of French ultramarine blue. All right, now there's, I guess, a lot of different ways we can paint this, but let's use the alla prima technique, which is we'll paint everything at one time, and we'll do maybe some of the darks first, and then once we get some of the darks in to the painting, then we'll have more of a good feel for the tonal values and how things are looking. But okay, so there we have the tree. That's back over here in the field. And then what are we going to do next? Let's do the embankment. Cerulean blue, maybe. And we'll try to keep that dark along here. Now what I'll do is I'll maybe grab a quick, this is a synthetic brush, number 4, Jack Richardson. It's a travel type set I bought. And you can, it's got a really good point, and maybe I'll just use this to start getting maybe some weeds and things, and I'll just use the paint here. As you can see, if you can use the paint that you've already put onto the paper and just like use it to just start creating some weeds and things, that works out real good. Like that. It's almost like it kind of saves a step of having to load up the brush with paint and things. You just use the paint that's already there. And go with a little bit of a darker dark there. Burnt umber. Go in with some green. Burnt umber. So I'll make a little darker dark over there. Like that. Not bad. Another bit of dark there. Rinse off the brush. So I rinse off the brush. Take a little bit of water off the brush on the tissue there. And we'll just work over here. Like this. Alright, now we'll start doing the shadowing of this embankment right underneath it. So we'll leave some white paper in between here and there, like that. And that's sort of our shadowing of the embankment. Like that. Now the key is let's mix up a little bit of, we'll use this gold here and this green, like a lighter wash. So you might want to take at this point we'll take a small bit of tissue or a paper towel and just clean up a spot here. We're going to want to make a lighter wash. So let's do that. Let's get some cerulean blue there and a little bit of this. And we'll just start to get some, like a bit of the water in the color of the water. Like that. Downstrokes seem to work good, like this. For a pond or lake or anything like that, where the water's kind of still, doesn't have a lot of movement to it. And then you can start, maybe pull some of that paint down in there too. Like that. And then even go across a couple times like this. Just swing the brush across a few times. Tends to help a little bit. Okay, so that's the water. And we'll put some more reflections and shadows in this water once we're kind of moving along here further. But okay, let's keep working now on the darker darks. So we'll go back in and get some blue and green, French ultramarine blue, sap green, little bit of raw umber. And we'll just start getting some of this in here. Then you can go with some darker darks if you want, here and there. Kind of looks good to mix it up a little. Not just make it one color. That kind of looks boring. Okay, so those are the other embankments. And then we can take that and get a little bit of reflection in the water, like that. A couple splashes never hurt, just for a little bit of something to stimulate the mind when we look at the painting. Okay, now you can get some. This, let's make cooler up here. That's a little cooler back over here. It's in the distance. You can always enhance your paintings by putting some cooler colors in the distance of your painting. Even though sometimes you don't see it with your eye, when you look at something you say, hey, wait a minute, that's dark over in the far distance over there when I'm painting a painting, and you're outdoors maybe looking at something, but you almost have to sometimes change your painting around to make it look more convincing to the person that might be viewing it, or even yourself. I painted a number of paintings where I didn't follow the idea of maybe making something a little cooler in the far distance. And I made it darker thinking I was right, and then I realized, well, if I added some more cooler blue to something that was in the distance, it looks much further away, and it actually reads better overall in the painting. So that's why I do it. And you have to try it out yourself. You're the artist. You're going to try all these ideas out on your own as you paint. So we have snow back here. I'll put some more weeds over here. I think that looks pretty good. We kind of just have the basic idea here. Maybe we'll do one more thing. Let's make a kind of a bush over here. Raw umber, sap green. We'll make a happy little bush over here, like that. Maybe a little darker dark in there, too. And then we will take that and go into the bushes, into the water with that. So now with reflections in the water, if you have a bush up here and you think it's going to reflect down into the water, you just want to take this and make it kind of wavy, like that. Just like that. And here, let's put this in. That trunk of this tree is up there, so let's get some French ultramarine blue, cerulean blue maybe, French ultramarine blue, burnt umber. We'll make it a dark. And we'll just do it like this. You'd start to see it here, I think. And again, we're just going to do a little like that. And as long as it's in line, in line with the tree trunk and the tree up above here, that'll look fine if you just do it that way, so that it's in line with the tree up here. And what else do we have left? Let's do a little bit of grass. Warm and cool. I consider greens sort of cool, and then umbers and yellow, gold, reds, those are warm colors for me. And then let's do a little, maybe a couple of wisps of grass over here. Good. Then we can take our fine brush like that. And I think the wind's blowing mostly this way. So most of the twigs and branches and grass is kind of flowing this way. Raw umber, sap green, a little bit of French ultramarine blue, and do a couple of those. A little bit of water. And I think that's good. So we have some feeling of water here. Sometimes you can add a little more watery feel to the painting, a little bit of fresh, clean water to the washes. And then to even make it a little more, you could even do a couple of these. A couple of wavy kind of bits of brushwork, but not too much, just a few. And that might do a little bit of, and a couple of, maybe some of these. Like that. And you can make a couple more darker darks under here. That. And I think that's fine. It's a little bit abstract, but that's what we like. Sometimes it's better to have a little bit of abstraction in your paintings versus trying to really get everything perfectly nailed down, and it gives you a little more creative abilities when you kind of sometimes abstract things a little bit instead of doing things perfect like this. Here, I'm just going to drag a tissue across here. Maybe across this way too. Like that. All right. I don't want to overwork it. I think that's perfect. We've captured the mood here. Maybe we would add maybe some bit of wash up here, like that. That might look good. All right, let's get ready for another painting, another composition. What I'll do is when we come back, we'll reset up everything, but I'll actually do it right on camera so you can kind of see how I'm going to kind of switch around my paper and everything. I'll kind of cover it here right on the tutorial so you can kind of see how I'm going to reposition everything on the on my working board here. Okay, be right back. All right, let's resituate ourselves here. First thing I'll do is I'll mention that I did use a blow dryer on this, our finished first painting of our lake / pond. I just did a blow dryer quick so that once we start moving things around, it won't smudge or anything like that if we bump into it or something happens. So that's the first thing I did, and then I'm just going to lift up this printer paper that I put on the bottom. Then I'm going to lift up the paper here like so off my board. So I usually have a masonite board on a 10 to 15% angle, which is my working table, which is basically like a high countertop, like maybe like the height of a kitchen countertop, and then I have a couple other boards on top, so it kind of, I guess it's about right at waist height. And then now we'll take this and this is now upside down, and we take the top here, we'll set it down right here. And that looks about good there. I'll just push down the tape. That looks fine. Then we'll take our paper again, the same thing, printer paper. The tape is going to stay just like it was when we did the first. It works fine, it works good. Just to go over the bottom again. So now we're going to cover our finished composition below. And now we have our second fresh, clean piece of paper. We're going to start. And then this next one, we're going to call this one, we'll call this one maybe Ocean. So this one's going to be our Ocean. Okay. And first thing we'll do is decide on, again, we're talking hash marks. Let's make the ocean maybe a little bit above the halfway point. So if we went with a halfway mark here, let's make the ocean a little bit above halfway, like up here, like that. And then we'll take our pencil line. You can use a ruler. A ruler is probably a good idea when you do an ocean horizon line. I wouldn't say it's absolutely necessary, but it's a pretty good technique to use. So what I would do is if you have a T-square like this, then you can just abut it against the edge of the paper, and it gives you a natural, perfect level line all the way across. Or if you don't have that, not a problem at all. We can just use a ruler, and let me see if I can find my... Okay, so then we can use a ruler and just measure down from the top down to that line, and we figure out it's 1 5/8. Inch, quarter, half, 5/8. Come over here, 1 half, 5/8. Or if you spin it around and use it, the metric system, it would be 4.2 centimeters. And then we go over here, 4.2 centimeters. Good. Then we just throw a ruler across there, like that. And then we have a perfect horizon line for our ocean, distant ocean. And let's try to just go with painting this freehand. You could, if you wanted to, you can use some artist tape and put tape down, or even Scotch tape works, and put tape down maybe where the sky is. So above the line, you can put some tape across and then paint your ocean across your line. And then once it starts to dry a little bit or set up, then you can pull the tape off. That gives you a perfect straight line. Or you can paint it by hand. It's up to you. You always have options here. So that's going to be our first horizon line. And then we're going to make this just real simple, just the ocean with some waves coming in, some surf coming in. So I'm going to make a line like this on a little bit of an angle. And then maybe maybe there's some waves crashing over here and there, like that. So I just put some pencil lines to give me a little bit of a guide as I create this. And then maybe we're going to have some sand over here in the very foreground, some sand here. And then we'll have some sky wash back here. But we'll keep that real simple, the sky wash. And then I think we can do the sky wash first. I think that's what we should do. So let's clean our palette first. So I usually go with some Holbein spritzer bottle. And just get the majority of the previous washes. Even though we're going to use some of the same colors, we'll start off with fresh colors now. And again, I'm using a number 8 round brush. I will use some tape, I think. So I'll use some tape here. And I'm going to tape the ocean below the line, the ocean horizon line. Just like that. Press it down good right along where the line is. And then we'll do a little bit of sky wash. And I'll make the sky wash some cerulean blue, a little bit of raw umber, touch of orange, okay, so I just do a parallel line across with a little touch of light orange and a little bit of the other green and blue mixed in there, and then a little more of this here. And then I just only go across a few times, leave some white paper there for clouds, and that's it. So you can see how quickly I did that. The key is sometimes less is more. So we did I always tend to think skies are great when you just kind of do a few brush strokes and walk away from it. They seem to look really good that way for my taste, but you're the artist, you have to decide what you think looks good. So that's going to be the sky wash quickly. Maybe a little bit of more blue up top. There we go. Okay, so here we're doing skies as well. We're doing two things instead of one. All right, now let's lift this off the tape. Perfect straight line. I would let this dry. So I would say maybe 20 minutes, half an hour. This should be pretty dry. This line we just painted in, the sky wash. So you can let that dry naturally for 20 minutes, half an hour, or you can use a blow dryer and I'll dry it off quickly. What I'll do is I'll just stop the tape quickly. I don't want to make a ton of noise with the blow dryer, which will be kind of distracting. And then we'll come back and we'll get started again. So what I'll do is I'll dry off the sky wash for about 1 minute, maybe 30 seconds to a minute with the blow dryer, and then I'll turn back on the tape and we'll get started again. And I always mention it, as we're taking a break now, please always remember the best way to keep in contact with us here on my channel is you hit the subscribe button down below on the right hand side. If you click subscribe, and then you also hit the notification bell, the top notification bell, that means whenever new videos come out that we're creating here on my channel, you'll get the videos, you'll see them first when you open up YouTube the next time, so you won't miss out on any of our videos. And that's it. That's the only thing really the subscribe button is for. It's YouTube's way of letting you know that your favorite creators are and artists are putting out new content on an ongoing basis, and they want you to just make sure you're kind of seeing it first, so you know that there's some more interesting things you're looking forward to, so that you don't lose track of it. That's all it is. You won't get any silly emails or text messages or anything like that on your phone or your emails or anything like that. So in any case, we'll be right back. We'll just do a quick blow dry and we'll come back. All right, so we're getting started again, and the only thing I did was I just emptied, well, I used the blow dryer just to dry off this sky wash we just did first, and then I added some water to the fresh, clean water to my water container. Now, I'm going to take the small Richardson brush we were using before, and we'll start getting in our washes for the distant ocean. So I think the best thing to do is to get some darker French ultramarine blue here, and notice I'm using very little water, mostly straight paint with a damp brush. And I'll use a little bit of sap green too here. So I'm going to make a mixture of French ultramarine blue, sap green, and then a little bit of burnt sienna as well down here. And then I'll work that up into the blue a little bit, like that. Rinse off the brush, dry off the brush a little, and then go in and pick up the blue, French ultramarine blue. And again, you could use some, let's use the tape, why not? So now we can use the tape in the other direction. We'll put the tape now up on the sky area, which is dry. And I'll press pretty good, pretty strongly on the, just where along the pencil line is. Then we can go in and then just paint right along the top like this. And we don't have to worry about holding that line perfectly, because we kind of know we already have that tape on there. So I'm using some of the blue, maybe some cobalt blue as well. There we go. Then I rinse off my brush and just leave damp water on the brush, and then touch down the damp brush to that wash, that little bit of wash we just did there, and then we can go back in. Maybe a little bit of green. I think the key here is nice mixtures of colors. We wouldn't want to make it just boring one color. Maybe even a little bit of that lemon yellow mixed with some olive green. And we leave some white paper too for some waves. Not over here though. Let's leave it over here. So there's some white caps there. And then here we'll make a wave. Right there. Like that. And some more blue. And maybe ultramarine violet too. Key here is let's leave some white papers, white lines on the paper for little choppy waves coming in. Maybe some viridian green too. There, there. Like that. There we go. And then let's leave this, some of the beach sand here. And I'll just rinse off the brush and get a little bit of that orangey color we used before. Splash a little bit of that orange color on, dry off the brush. And maybe just drag a little bit of that. A little bit of the sand color on there, just a little bit. And then that can be our sand. And I'll just splash on some speckles for sand color. And I think that's good. And then we lift up the tape. And we have that perfect horizon line there. So that's a great ocean. Waves coming in, crashing in. And I wouldn't overwork it, just a few, maybe minor brush strokes at the end here. And that should be fine. Okay, we have our second ocean composition completed. We're going to do two more. Yes, we're going to keep on pressing on here. We want to give ourselves some good compositions to stow away in our folder, in our studio, or wherever we work, our kitchen, our dining room, our den, our living room, our bedroom, wherever you like to paint. Have a little folder, put your compositions in there when you're done with them. And refer back to them when you need to. Sometimes you won't have to. Maybe other times you might want to look up a few things you've done with these compositions that we're doing here. So, all right, we're going to just take another quick break. And what I'll do is I'll reset everything up so that we don't waste time. I know you want to get on and you want to start painting. drawing and painting these compositions, so I won't go over a lot of, resetting up everything on camera. And so the next time you see this video, when we start back up again, I'll have another pad of paper, rough paper this time. We're going to use some rough paper and Arch's rough paper on the block paper, just like this. So we're going to tape it just the same way as we did this one, and we'll get started. Okay, we'll be right back. All right, so we are geared up for another painting. Let's do a river. So this is going to be our composition for river. We'll just put it down here on paper so we have a little bit of a place marker on our video. If you're fast forwarding through the video, you can kind of see these pretty easy. River. Okay. This one should be more simplified. We're not going to get too bogged down with all kinds of details, and we're just going to kind of maybe make a few things that we would think of as maybe a river. Maybe there's a couple trees along the river and maybe a little hill. Let's do that. So what I'll do is we'll keep the river low in the picture. So I'm going to say we're going to make this river only about a quarter, not even a quarter of the way up from the bottom of the painting. And that's going to have like a really nice feeling of the river sitting low in the picture, flowing. It's going to look good. So we're going to make that mark there. That's not even a quarter. If this is half, this is about a quarter. It's about 1/8, maybe up from the bottom of the painting. So let's do that. We're just going to kind of go across here, and we'll make some of the hills alongside here, the river. Like that. So this is going to be the water right there. Then we're going to do some, like this might be like an embankment over here, and some rocks, and maybe a couple of trees, bushes over here. Like that. Then back over here in the distance, we'll put some tree-type shapes back there. And they'll kind of come up like this, and then we're going to have another hill over here, like this. And then maybe here we'll have maybe a pine tree. So we're going to do a little bit more than just the river. We'll do a pine tree here. Like that. And we'll reflect that down into the river like that. And then usually with rivers, there's often mountains. So maybe we'll do a mountain over here, a distant mountain. Like that. And that should be good. Okay, so we have our drawing done, and then we'll just spritz our palette. Some mist on the paint too. And we'll get a paper towel, half a sheet, quarter of a sheet. And now we're ready to start with some new colors. And I think with this painting too, we're going to do the alla prima method again. Just go in and start. We'll start our painting. Maybe I'll use the small Richardson brush that we're using. Fresh, clean water. And I think I might go in and get some of the olive green, lemony yellow, maybe a little bit of yellow ochre, a little bit of sap green. So I'll mix up the three colors for the hill over here. I'll rinse off the brush again, dry off the brush a little bit on a piece of paper towel or tissue. And I want to start getting in this hill. And since we're using rough paper, you can notice that we're going to get some good broken paper effects where you can kind of see the it gives it some texture. And while that wash is wet, I will add in some of that golden yellow ochre and raw sienna. Like that. Then we'll go in sap green, burnt umber, a little bit of warm it up a little. Then I'll do some of the bushes and trees over here. Maybe the light's coming from this direction. So I'll put a little white insignia up here. That's like a spotlight just to let me know and let you know that's where the light source is coming from. Maybe the sunlight up in the sky going this way. And again, rinse off the brush, dry off a little bit of the water on a tissue, paper towel, if you have an apron on, whatever works. And a little lighter color over here on the right side. Over here's the shadow side. Here we go. All right. And now I'll go in and get some purple, which is Winsor Newton Ultramarine Violet. Ultramarine Violet by Winsor Newton. Some cerulean blue, a little bit of raw umber, and we're going to put this distant purple mountain back here. Maybe there's some snow up there. Maybe there's people skiing up there on the snowy hills. And then over here, mix in a little bit of purple, but we'll add some green in there too. This might be a little closer. And this might be some a little bit of burnt sienna, raw umber, and cerulean blue. Maybe these are some rocks over here. Little dabs on the brush for rocks. And we'll let that dry. Okay, now I think I'll use my larger brush, the number 8 we were using before, and we'll mix up some river water. I would, the river color of the river, the water. So that's going to be, I would say, a little bit of sap green, cerulean blue, French ultramarine blue, a little bit of that. Kind of try to get yourself a nice, like, grayish color. A little bit of gold, a little bit of raw sienna maybe, blue, touch of red. I would go for more of a bluish color though. A little bit of cobalt blue. That might be good. Let's try it out. Okay, like that. And I'm just going to really I'm going to add a little more blue. Like that. Wow, that looks good when you mix a few colors together, doesn't it look good? Then we'll get a little more careful over here. Let's make some breaks in the paper. Like that. Like this. Maybe there's some ice and snow over here on the river, over on this side. And I'd leave that white paper too along the shore. There might be some snow and ice along the shoreline there too. All right, looking good. We can just keep going. We could take a break at any time. You can just hit pause, as you know, on your video here on YouTube. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go with I'm going to wet the paper just a little bit with fresh, clean water. Up top on the sky though, but not lower, just on the top area. Just a little bit of fresh, clean water. Here and there, not everywhere. I wouldn't wet the whole thing. I would just do a couple spots here and there. And that's the fun of doing skies. You really don't have to do much work at all. You add a little bit of water to the paper and let it sit for a second. And then we'll go in with some beautiful cobalt blue mixed in with that river water that we made there. And then you just, it looks good if you have that little bit of other color mixed into the blue, and then you just add it up there like that. Just add the paint mix. I would cover the whole top first. That would be my first thing. Cover the whole top area along the tape. That gives a nice border. Then you just carefully touch the brush gently on the paper and kind of go in an angular motion like this across the painting, like skies usually do. They flow on angles a lot of times. And we just go like that. And as you can see, we're not doing much more than letting the paint and water do the work for us. That's it. And then as the sky goes further and further back, as you can imagine, this is really close up top. If we were standing here looking at this scene right here and we were standing right by the riverbank, up here in the sky, that's where it's right over our heads. And then as the sky goes down this way, it gets further and further away, and then all the way back there, that's where it's furthest away, and that's where the thin clouds are, where it fades away like that. And then we could take a little orange paint. There's usually a little bit of warmth along the horizon line of where the sky meets the ground. So I take some orange, just a tiny bit like that, and do that. And I wouldn't touch the mountains. I'd leave it just a little bit I'd leave a little strip of white paper above the mountaintops there in the distance. And then I'd kind of mingle that orangey, very light orange color to the blue right there. Kind of just blend it a little bit like that. Kind of blend it along there like so. And I think that looks good. And I wouldn't fuss with it any further. All right, what we'll do is we'll let this dry 100% because we really can't do any more details. Like we're going to do some pine trees here, the large pine tree right here in the foreground here on this little riverbank area and hill. And we'll put some more distant pine trees in here too as well, but we have to let the paper dry 100%. So that's the perfect time to use the blow dryer and dry it off, or let it dry naturally for an hour or two. Okay, so let's let this dry. I'll use the blow dryer probably, and we'll come back in just a few minutes and we'll finish up this painting. And I think we'll have a beautiful 3 paintings in one video. So we have the ocean we just did, and then we did the pond and lake in the first painting, and now we're finishing up with the beautiful river. I think that's a perfect way to kind of complete this. And then we're going to come back in another episode, and we'll do maybe some other type water features. Maybe we're going to do some waterfalls. That would be a really fun painting to do, a waterfall. Maybe some other things too, maybe a small creek. So we'll come up with some different ideas. I'm hoping you're going to really enjoy this rest of the video as we finish out these final details. Let me know in the comment section if you like these videos. Thumbs up if you really like this video in particular. That's how you let me know what is your favorite content on my channel. When you hit that thumbs up button, then I can always, and of course, please leave comments. I love hearing from you. We always chat in the comment section, all of us here together. Thank you for the great comments, everyone, and the encouragement and all the beautiful, nice words of encouragement and I really appreciate that. It kind of gives me a lot of excitement to come back each week and paint on YouTube. Sometimes I get tired. I'm working hard every week, and I'm working on the weekends doing my YouTube videos, and it's always great to hear from everybody. So thanks for leaving comments in the comment section. And so let's finish up in a few minutes. We just want to dry this off 100%, either with a blow dryer again, or we're going to use natural drying time of about an hour or two, and that should be fine. So we'll finish up in just a second. All right, let's finish up. We're going to do some pine trees. We could zoom in here a little bit. That'll be fine. And we're just going to use some, for the pine trees, we would use some French ultramarine blue. And again, here we wouldn't use, I would actually dry out a section of the palette so there's no puddles or anything like that of water. And then I would take just a damp brush and get some French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, and sap green. And that makes a nice, good dark green for our pine tree. And then I'm just going to do a couple branches here and there. I did the pencil lines, the branches, but I would kind of refrain from doing every branch that I drew in with the pencil, I think. And the reason is, what I'll do is now we have these branches in, that looks good. And then I'll take a tissue, I'll rinse off the brush, dry off the excess water of my brush on a tissue. And I'll take some of this and I'll just do a little bit of, scrub a little bit of paint on there to give it some, maybe a little bit of a damp brush here, a little bit more than a damp brush, maybe a little bit of water in there, not too much though. And I'll just, if you add too much paint, you can always lift up with a tissue. But just wanted to do that. Add a little bit of volume to the tree. Like this. And then we'll do the little bit of a shadowing there in the water, like so. Maybe we'll do a little bit of reflection there. In the river, a little bit of the reflection there. I might blot up a little bit too, just to. And that's about it. I really wouldn't do a lot more. I would maybe we'll do a few more of those distant pine trees like we talked about back here. That can really look good if you just do some upstrokes like this. Like this here. They're smaller going back this way. And then they get a little bit larger over here. Like that. That gives us some feelings of trees back there in the distance kind of going Back there like so. Maybe a few more back here. But that's about it. I wouldn't go with too much detail. Sometimes adding too much detail at the end of a painting will kind of ruin it. So I would just leave it at that. We got the pine tree in here. I think that looks good. It gives a little bit of a focal point, and then we have the beautiful snow-capped mountains here, the distant purple mountains as they trail down into the river area. And I think that's perfect. Okay, so thanks again everyone for coming by, joining along. We're going to be doing more videos just like this one in the future, where we're going to try to do some smaller compositions and kind of focus in on some of the main themes that we would use with certain features in paintings. Like this one, we did water. We did like the river, the ocean, the pond, and lake type compositions. And again, we'll work on some different ones, maybe some, we'll do maybe waterfalls. We'll do a couple waterfall paintings, perhaps some creeks, some small creeks with rocks. So we'll have a great time doing more water features, but I'm glad you're joining along with me. Enjoy the watercolor journey. Happy painting, everyone, and we'll see you soon on the next video. Okay, bye-bye. Hi everybody, I'm Petri. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for stopping by my channel here. We're doing watercolor art 24/7. We're actually going to do a delightful painting today. We're going to use some simple subject matter. We'll do a still life. We have a coffee cup here. I have a plastic fruit, which is an orange, styrofoam. So you can use real subject matter. I have a large amount of faux fruit. If you look up faux fruit online, you can find really all kinds of great, every apples, oranges, grapes, you name it, pears and different style apples, green apples, Granny Smith apples, red delicious apples, every kind of fruit and vegetable you can imagine. Styrofoam. This looks very real, very convincing. They have a really beautiful detail, the way they created these. So you can find some really good quality faux fruit. And what's nice about this is you can put it into a bag or a duffel bag and bring it anywhere you want and practice watercolor. And you can also leave it in the studio. You don't have to worry about anything like bugs or things going rotting or anything like that. I leave my faux fruit in my studio, and I have everything: limes, lemons, you name it. Like I said, as much as they've made every kind of faux fruit and vegetable you can imagine. So I'm going to use just a simple orange. I'm going to use a simple white coffee cup. I'll use also a picture. Maybe we'll create. Maybe I'll make a picture. Just like for. Sometimes I'll just recall. I have a numerous amount of pictures. Clear glass pictures for flowers. I have I have a couple white pictures for flowers. So I have all different kinds of still life things in my studio that I use, and also sometimes I'll just draw from memory, and maybe we'll do that here for some of our items. But again, you know, be creative, set up a couple little still life setups for yourself, and just practice on those. And here we'll do that. We'll set up a nice a cross ring. I'm just going to set up a little few things. I'm going to take this here and we're going to tape this down. Let's tape down our paper, our watercolor paper. Tape down our palette. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll tape this down first here. And it's always good to tape down our watercolor paper, and then tape off our sections that we want to. This way, when we're done with our exercises and our compositions, we can just take the tape off and we have a finished painting right there, waiting to put into a scrapbook, or we can put it on the wall and take, look at it for a few weeks or so and kind of critique it ourselves. That's always good to do. You know, you take your paintings and you hang them up in your house, or give them away. You know, you give them away sometimes too. Maybe you're going to sell them a few times here and there to friends, or gallery shows, whatever you do. But as an artist, it's always good to take your work and display it in your studio in your house, and you can learn from it and say, I like that, I like this, I like that other thing I did there, and maybe I'd like to do this different next time. I think I could make it look better in this section or that section, or so forth. So always try to improve a little bit each time, and also enjoy the victories that you have when you're painting. So here, let's go in and we'll do just a simple composition, just so we can get some cool ideas here of. So I think I'll. So here I'm doing a pitcher, and then I'm going to do my coffee cup and the saucer, and I'm going to come around this way and we'll do our orange here. So this is just a fun composition. We're trying to and maybe we'll have a little bit of fun design on this. We'll do some blue ornamentation on this, and we'll do some more design here too. Do some more ornamentation on our. Just lightly here, I'm going to do a very light, just so I remember to have some ornamentation and interesting details on our vase here, our white vase. In this exercise, we should keep things loose, keep things fun. Maybe we'll pretend there's a little plant over top of this here, some flowers. Maybe there's a larger vase over here, and there's some leaves and things here. So we'll just make an indication of that. Okay, that looks good. And again, here we're having fun. We're just going to mix some colors and have a good time here. We're not worried too much about, is this a award-winning painting or anything like that. We're just having fun. We're going to practice the fundamentals of watercolor right now. So right now we just did our contour drawing. We went in, we looked at our subject matter. It could be from a book, from a picture. You might set up your still life with some cups and saucers and so forth, and fruit. You can use real fruit. You can buy faux fruit, and vegetables and all kinds of interesting things. You could, if you don't like those type of things, you can set up things that you have around the house that you like. Maybe you name it, anything, kitchen items, some of favorite
heirlooms, things like that. Anything that you want, you can just really set them up and draw them and paint them. So here I'm just doing a nice loose representation of coffee cup and an orange and a white vase. We're going to do some blue ornamentation on this. And there's maybe a little, some leaves here. And let's see how we can just make this fun. Alright, I'll get my brushes here. Okay, and I have fresh clean water. Okay, let's get right in and we'll do some of the darks. Let's take some of that blue for our ornamentation. That is French ultramarine blue mixed with a little burnt umber, maybe a little burnt sienna. Okay. And maybe we'll blot out a little bit there. And maybe we'll go in with some sap green and some olive green. And we'll get a little bit of that leaf shape in there. This is fun, look at this. How easy is that? This is just absolute fun with colors, and all we did was really set down a nice little bit of contour drawing, nothing fancy. And now we're letting our paints do the fun, the work. A little splashing. Loosen things up, splash a little bit, have fun. Don't worry too much about how perfect it looks. We're having an enjoyable time here. Alright, so we have a little bit of blue for our ornament here, a nice little stripe going along the top of the vase. Let's do some cobalt blue. And just a little flicking around of the brush to pretend we know what we're doing. There we go. Another great little bit of design. And how about here? Maybe a little bit of mineral violet. We'll go over here, mineral violet, purple, mixed in with a little cobalt blue. Change up the color a little bit. There we go, another little flick of some detail, and we got it. There we go. And a little more here, maybe some more in detail on this beautiful vase here. And again, we'll go right into the French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, burnt sienna. And let's do a little okay, now we'll use our needlepoint brush. And we'll even get into some more fine detail. Even this is pretty fine detail right here, but let's get even to some additional fine detail. Let's perfect. Okay, now let's take a little bit of that green that we have mixed here, and a little bit of the blue and purple over here. And let's do some shadowing. Maybe a little cerulean blue too. A little bit of yellow ochre too, mixing a little bit of warm. Okay, now we're doing negative shade painting. We're taking this area here and we're accentuating the light on this side of the vase over here. So the light's coming from here. If we want to make sure, we just take a light insignia like that with a light bulb, and we say the light's coming from here. A little more of yellow ochre, just to warm up that cool green and blue that we were using. Okay, now we're at the bottom of the vase, which is in shadow. The light is catching this side of the vase and the so we'll let that be like that. There we go. Now to make sure that we accentuate the light on this side of the vase, we will put a little bit of green and blue over here. Maybe a little mineral violet. And maybe we'll just lightly fade this out over here. But this is good. Make sure we do a little bit of a darker dark over here. Again, negative shade painting. We're painting around the subject to make it appear. So if we didn't paint this tonal value, this little darker over here on this side of the vase, then that part of the vase would not look as if it's there. So we want to make sure we paint negative shade painting to keep our subject matter looking real. Let's do our orange. Fire in that beautiful orange, cadmium orange. How does that look? That looks great. Let's add a little cadmium red to the bottom section here of that cadmium orange, and some yellow ochre. And then as we go up, let's fade it a little bit and make it lighter up here. There we go. A little bit lighter up here. Even if you have to use the tissue and lighten it up a little bit on the top of the orange. Perfect. A little more cadmium red in the bottom. And then we can mix that on. We use a dry brush. We take our cleaner brush, dry it off on the tissue, and then we can take some straight paint right out of the palette and go right into the painting. Don't even worry about mixing it onto the palette. Just go straight into the palette and right into the paint, onto the painting. And just dance the brush around a little bit here and there. Rinse off the brush again, dry it really well with some tissue, and then you can just move the paint around a little bit. Rinse off the brush again, dry it again with no paint, no water, and then just you get a nice sense of light on the top of the orange. Plenty of darker tonal value on the shadow area here. The orange is catching more light on top. And then let's go in, we'll do a little bit of shadowing on our coffee cup. Maybe we'll use a little bit of alizarin crimson here and cadmium red. And maybe we'll just do some exciting red over here. Sometimes we don't always have to stick to what we see in front of us. We can add different things to make it look better. That's what I'm doing here. I'm adding orange and red over here a little bit just to make things look better. And I'll go in with some French ultramarine blue again, a little bit of green, a little bit of shadowing under there. Let's get back into some of the greens up here. Let's change our color a little bit, add a little more burnt umber, or add some burnt umber to that green, which would be sap green and olive green, just to give us a little bit of a different look. Keep things different. Big leaf, small leaf. I was noticing my drawing, everything was looking the same size. All the leaves here were looking the same size. That's not a good look. It's better to change things around a little bit, have things look different, non-symmetrical. So I had one larger leaf and one smaller one. And we'll put a little more green there. And some cerulean blue with some of that green. Then we can go into some yellow ochre. Then we can go back, we'll pick up our needlepoint brush, some raw umber and some of that yellow ochre, and dance the brush around a little bit just to get a little variety here. Then we'll go in, we'll get some more sap green. And again, negative shape painting. I'm going to paint around that handle a little bit. And just splash and I'll paint in that edge of this vase here. Maybe a shadow over here a little bit. Another little splash over here. And maybe some green over here just to balance things. So I'll put some green over here. All right, that is it. That is how simple we can have things in watercolor. Just taking a couple simple things like a coffee cup, an orange. You could pick, lemons, limes, any kind of fruit, vegetable you like. You maybe put down a picture, maybe some leaves, some shapes of leaf forms next to it. You don't necessarily have to draw a bouquet of flowers. Here you could just put something nearby, just so you have a feeling of like this is near a bouquet of flowers or some a plant, some potted plants. You can expand this idea, make it a full painting, and then add in a potted plant or whatever you would like. But I think the key is it's really fun in watercolor to just do small parts of things. And once you practice small parts of things a lot, then you're sort of already ready to do it in a larger painting. Let's say if you want to make a large painting to frame or to bring to a gallery, if you're maybe going to have a gallery show, or if you have someone commissions you to do a painting for them and they see your work and love it and they want you to paint a painting for them, and they ask you if you can make it 18 by 24. So if we're always working in smaller format, that can be an issue. But if we paint our smaller format, smaller parts of the larger whole, then we can take this idea, add a potted plant to it within a larger painting, and then we have our painting. A coffee cup, a vase, a couple pieces of fruit, and a potted plant. We've already painted this, so now all we have to do is practice doing the potted plant a few times, let's say, and then we can make a larger format, a larger painting, and then we have it. Here I think the only thing I would add is maybe just a little color just over the okay. All right, I hope we had fun here, and this is, again, you'll always hear me say it, have fun with your watercolors, enjoy. Let's work on small comps, and then eventually doing the bigger, larger paintings is no problem. And if we peel off our tape, this makes a perfect small composition to pin up on our wall next to our desk where we work, our studio, our office. Maybe we work in the office and we want to put up a small painting. Maybe people come by, they love it, they want one too. You can create a couple of these, make prints of them, or make a couple for our friends at work. Okay, again, let's see if we could as you can see, nothing too fancy, really just very loose, very free, getting the basic shapes drawn in, and then just putting in the color. And really we used a lot of negative shape painting here. We painted around this white vase quite a bit, the top, around the handle, inside of the handle. So we did a lot of negative shape painting here, painting around an object to make it appear. And as well over here on this side of the vase, we added that paint here to make this side of the vase accentuate that so that we can see that clearly. And lots of good color and fresh color, and we had a lot of fun doing it. All right, everyone, we'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.